Okay, Kathy, so you did your concept analysis, and what was it like for you then going through the rest of the program? How did you progress with the development of your program of research as a doctoral student using this concept? And what
Okay.
kind of barriers did you encounter? What kind
Okay.
of facilitation did you get from professors?
Okay. Well, the second breakthrough came as my husband and I presented our paper to Sigma Theta Tau International. And again, I was nervous, so he attended with me. And he was the co-author, so it was a legitimate co-presentation. And the audience was quite hostile. And they did not want this concept to be so complicated. What we did was discover 3 types of comfort. And we explicated those in this presentation: the sense of relief, the sense of ease, and the sense of transcendence. That's what came out of the initial concept analysis paper. As a result of their kind of anger at having this concept they thought they understood and could talk about easily sound kind of complicated now, they asked some very provocative questions, and my husband fielded some of them and explained from a philosophy of science point of view how important it was to define our concepts in our discipline. And they were kind of soothed by that. That night, I was so stimulated by the whole discussion that I woke up in the middle of the night and I said, I know what I've got to add to this. Comfort is both physical and mental. So now I had a grid. I drew it out that night at 2 a.m. Relief, ease, and transcendence across the top, physical and mental going down the side. Took that back to my professor, and she said, oh, that's pretty interesting. That looks like a taxonomic structure. First time I'd ever heard the term. She said, I'm having a graduate student, a recent grad from the program, come in and talk about taxonomic structures, because she did that for her dissertation. It was a different concept, but she is presenting what a taxonomic structure is. So that was extremely helpful and timely. And all the way through my program, these kinds of coincidences happened. So I was blessed with wonderful support and continuity in my educational program, because my professors knew what I was working on. And they did always lead me to the next step. I wouldn't have gotten there without them insisting I move on. After the recent grad who came to class and talked about taxonomic structures, her name is Margaret England, after her presentation, I thought, wow, this is just what I did. And I asked her if I could talk with her some more. And she said yes, and we had a long talk, and she critiqued my grid, which was 6 cells at that time. And she said, first of all, this is not holistic. You've got to do better than physical and mental. And I said, well, what do you mean, how to do better? She said, well, you've got to get into the holism literature and find out how nurses look at patients as a whole and what kinds of things they attend to when they're taking care of patients. That process took another 2 years. And to do the literature review in the library and to write it up. And the result of that work is your 3rd article titled A Taxonomic Structure for the Concept of Comfort. And this article is much easier to read. At this point, my husband jumped off the comfort bandwagon. And actually, because we had such a hard time publishing our article together, these 2 came out a month apart. But there was a 2-year lag between the writing of them. So that's kind of confusing when people look at the paper trail. But this 3rd article really represents a lot more work. And we ended up with the grid that I still use today on page 239, which is 12 cells. And down the left side is physical, social, cultural, psychospiritual, and environmental. So that was how the holism components came from the literature, were derived from the literature. And I was really delighted to find later work by other people that, all independent, supporting these 4 contexts. For example, Judy Spross in Oncology Nursing had explicated these exact 4 contexts in her discussion of suffering. So that was validating.